Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Momma Christine's podcast, Living Life Through Experience. This is week number 23, episode 23, I should say. Anyway, so of course, you know this podcast is all about talk and discussion about experience in life, experience going through so much, experience in healing, experience in whatever your spirituality is. It's whatever it's going to be. You know, I always find that if I let spirit guide me, a lot of good things come up. But my thing today is I really feel the need to talk about expectations. I think we spend a lot of our life going through daily routines and whatnot and always having these expectations of how things are going to be, how they should be, how we're going to deal with things. And, you know, sometimes during our own fears and disappointments that we create a scenario in our head of how it's going to go or what am I going to say? Or, you know, it's like, whoa. So let's back up. Let's start with a card like I always do. First card that fell out of the deck was this right here. Spiritual support, which means no matter what you're going through, my poor cards are falling apart here. No matter what you're going through, the good, the bad, the ugly, it doesn't matter. You always have support from the other side. Now, that could be God, it could be angels, it could be guides, it could be your loved ones, all of the above. But your support is always there. And I know for some people they have a hard time with that because I always ask for help and nothing happens. Or I ask for signs and I don't see them. When we're not in a good mindset, what happens is we don't see things that are there. It's like when you're in panic mode and you've lost your keys and you're searching your whole house for them and you've probably passed by them like 3 times until finally you see it because you stop for a moment and take a breath and go, oh, why can't I find my keys? Please help me find my keys. And you take that breath and you finally let go a little bit of that angst. And before you know it, you're walking by the same thing you've walked by many times already and realize like, oh my God, my keys are right here. How did they get here? I didn't see them before because you're just too busy. So that's why you feel like spirit isn't there to help you, or why they're not answering your call, or why they're not showing you the sign or the message. In all reality, they are. We're not receiving. And you may say, well, I'm looking for it, or I'm waiting for it, I'm paying attention. And it's like, and sometimes that's too much. I always tell people, ask for a sign, then let it go. And when it pops, you'll see it. Why? Because you're not hyper-focused on it. If you are hyper-focused on it, like looking for lost keys, you're not going to see it until you let go, take a breath, and then all of a sudden it appears and you're like, oh, I see it now, okay? So know that your spiritual support is there, even if you feel like they're not. I promise you, they are, okay? So no matter what we're going to go through in this whole expectation discussion, spirit is always there. Now, as I was shuffling, 2 more cards fell out. One thing is honor your feelings. The next thing is the miracle of forgiveness, which is about letting go. And what I'm going to say is no matter what you're feeling, I don't care what it is you went through, okay? Right, wrong, doesn't matter. Your feelings are valid. And one thing I want to bring up about the feelings thing, and this is where I can say through experience, I have done this. And I'm sure many of you have. And I can remember as a child, knowing I possibly did something wrong and playing a scenario out in my head. Well, if they say, well, what did you do? Maybe I should just say this, or act like I didn't understand, or act like I didn't know, or act stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Because if I say the truth that, yes, I admit I did that and it's wrong, then they're going to be like mad. But not realizing at the time, because again, we learn as we age through experience, right? And we learn that by beating around the bush and making up stories or making up excuses or creating a theater presentation of what really happened, it's just as wrong. So it's basically coming up with a scenario because our expectations are they're going to be so mad. And therefore, we make up a story. But if we know they're going to be mad if we did something wrong, or upset, or disappointed, I should say, aren't they going to be just as disappointed, if not more so, that I lied or beat around the bush or didn't tell the absolute truth, that kind of thing. Know that your feelings are valid, okay? And that feeling guilt, it's a normal human thing. It really is. We feel guilt, and why do we feel guilt? Why? Because we feel like we're disappointing that other person. But again, beating around the bush is disappointing them. Also is telling the truth. But again, truth, as they say, truth will set you free. So why not just honor your feelings, go with what's going on, stop with the expectations, because you know what? You may say, yes, I did break the vase. I'm sorry. I bumped into it. I wasn't paying attention. And yes, they'll be upset that their vase is broken, but they're going to be happy that you told the truth. You know what I mean? So honor your feelings. Don't listen to the negative. Make up a story. What can you do? What can you say? What can you how can you bring this about without making them mad? Because I want them to love me, right? Because that is what comes around. It's like, why did you lie? Because I didn't want to disappoint you. Why would you think you disappointed me? Well, because I feel guilty if I do something bad, because then I think you don't like me. And it's like, already our expectations are filling in the blanks at the end of a story that we don't know anything about. So it's like, no, honor your feelings, do what you have to do. If something is wrong, then it's wrong. Say so. And don't beat around the bush. Be open, be honest. And again, going back to feelings now in a different type of scenario, many times I've had scenarios, and I'm sure some of you can agree with this one, where as a child, a teenager even, having something happen and I'm very upset over it and I cry, okay? Especially as little kids. Luckily, I didn't do this with my children, but as a kid, if I cried over something, whether it was because I didn't get my own way or whatever, you're expressing your feelings. That's really what it is. You're expressing your feelings. But a lot of, again, generational patterns of how people bring up their kids is, don't cry or I will give you something to cry about. Why? Because your parents did not want to hear the noise, right? They wanted you to accept truth, accept the answer they gave you, and move on. But again, as children, we're shut down, and I don't blame my parents for that. They did what they did. That's what they knew, and that's how they decided to raise us. And it was up to me to break that generational pattern by now I have my own kids who are now full grown adults. And as they were small children, if they cried, and one of my kids is very sensitive and would cry a lot, and I caught myself out of habit going, don't cry. And not in a bad way, like not don't cry, I'll give you something to cry about. It was like you hate to see them upset and crying, so you're like, oh, don't cry. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm stopping them from feeling their emotions. So that's where I learned to let them honor their emotions. Even if they were angry. I remember one of my kids one time was so angry, screaming and hollering, and I'm like, I sent them to their room. I said, you want to yell and scream? You go do it up there. I don't care if you scream into a pillow, punch your pillow, do what you got to do. But when you calm down, then we can talk. And I allowed them to do this because I thought it was good for them to get out that crazy energy of being angry. Because again, if you're going to discuss something with anger built up like that, it's not going to be a discussion. It's going to be a screaming match. So I honored her feelings and let her do her thing. Her father, on the other hand, thought I was crazy. But of course, he comes from a generation of don't cry or I'll give you something to cry about. And he carried that on with him into his life. And I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that. I want my children to be able to express their feelings, feel their feels, have a discussion. Taught my kids, apologize if you're wrong. I've learned through raising children to apologize when I'm wrong. Because yes, as a parent, you can get very frustrated. You can be overwhelmed. And sometimes you come out and say something maybe you should not have said in a certain way. And it's like, okay, I could have said that better. And I've gone back to my kids and said, look, I'm sorry. I expressed that in a way that could have been better. And what I really want to say to you is this. So I do apologize for my outburst. It was wrong. There's nothing wrong with saying that you're wrong. I think sometimes as adults or parents, guardians, whichever, that if we're wrong with our children in expressing our feelings, that it just is what it is and deal with it. And it's like, no, like parents shouldn't apologize to children. And it's like, why not? If you honestly did something wrong or you said something wrong, again, nobody's perfect. So yes, sometimes we may say something that comes out wrong and it's like, oh my God. But again, our expectations are, well, what are people going to think if they're going to tell me that I'm letting my kids walk all over me if I stoop down to their level or their age group and apologize for doing something wrong? I'm the parent. What I say goes. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, no. No expectations. What you do is what you do. Don't worry about what everybody else thinks, what they think you should do, how you should say things, whatever. If it feels right to you, then do that. But always honor your feelings. Because your feelings are valid. And I say this all the time to clients. It's like, yeah, but I feel bad. It's like, no. Stop feeling bad. Stop feeling guilty. Your emotions mean something to you. You have them for a reason. So let go of the guilt. Let go of the expectations. Let go of what people are going to think. Let go of what people are going to say. And just let go. That's where the forgiveness comes in. Forgiveness is not about, well, it's okay, it's fine. No, forgiveness is like, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to allow this energy to take over and make me feel like I'm not valid. I am not going to go on and continue to hold on to these expectations of what I think are there. And it's like, no. Expectation to me is the want and need for validation from other people or situations. You know what I mean? Or what we're expecting to receive from a person or a situation. And it's like, you know what? Don't. I always say go into everything with no expectations. Just let go and allow and be surprised at what comes. Because sometimes your expectations are not going to match what the universe is trying to give you. We hold on so tight, like people that want to manifest. And I've taught manifesting for many years. And, I tell people, put out there what it is you want. Okay? So for example, let's say, hey, I want a new, I don't know, oh my God, a new lounger for my deck, okay? But the one I want is kind of expensive, but it's really nice, it's comfortable, and I'd really love to have one. So put it out there. I would love to have a lounger for my deck. I'm putting it out there that I find one that is, maybe on sale or someone is selling secondhand or whatever. And you may say, I'm asking the universe to help me to acquire X amount of dollars to be able to buy this chair. Okay. Now, if you go along every day and kind of look at like, well, what can I do to make the money? What can I do to make? I think it should go this way. I think I should do this. I think I should do that. I think this is what needs to happen so I can do that. And it's like the universe is going, no. I have a plan. I have a plan on how you're going to acquire what you need, because we know your wants, we know your needs allow us to help you. But yet we're so fixated with our expectations of it's going to happen this way. And the universe is trying to push that away from you, and you're fighting them by focusing on this way only. And finally, you get so disgusted that it's not happening that you forget about it. You know what? Probably not going to happen, so whatever. And the minute you let it go, all of a sudden an opportunity comes through that the universe presents to you, and you go, oh my God, look at this. This is how I get my extra money. Fabulous, right? Now I can buy the chair I wanted. Now see, if you had let go before and didn't have expectations of how and when and why it was going to happen, you would have had your things sooner. But again, it's a learning lesson. So it's not that it happened too late or whatever. It was a learning lesson. Now, did you get it? Do you understand now? Good. Take that lesson and apply it always. No expectations. Just ask the universe for what you need and allow them to guide you and push you in the direction they need to push you in for you to get what you need. Okay? And again, never mind how, when, where, why, or whatever. This is what I would like. I'm asking the universe to help me achieve it. Done, right? It's like trusting and believing that whatever you need is going to happen is a big deal. And again, when we put those expectations in there, it's like putting a horse in a corral. You're not allowing it to run. You're making it sit right here and say, okay, take me on a ride. It's all you're getting is this in the corral. And it's like, but I want to ride. I want to get out there and I want to ride. And it's like, well, I can't. You put me in a corral and now I can't go anywhere. That's energy. If you put the energy out there to the universe and leave it open to like, this is what I need, the universe will take that and run with it. And then give back whatever it is you've asked for. But again, if we put it out there and wrap around a bunch of expectations around it, so no more expectations, okay? Let go and allow. Now, the next thing I want to discuss is the expectations that we have when it comes to disappointing everybody, because isn't that what we just automatically assume? So from personal experience, I can tell you that there's been many times over the years where, of course, like I've told you guys, I've been doing this work for 20 years. And many times, especially in the beginning stages, first few years, you want to get your name out there. You want people to know that your business is there. You're here to help and do your thing. So I would give up a lot of time to do fairs, to do, we used to do, a spring fling with a local animal shelter. And it was, people getting massage, Reiki. I did air candling there. There was readings. There was, eyebrow threading, all kinds of things, and some shopping, But all the money, we donated our time, and all the money that people paid to get our services went back to the shelter. And I remember doing that year after year after year until they stopped doing it. But then there was other things that would come up and say, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And I was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then it got to the point, like, especially one specific one. I did used to do the after prom party for one of the Fall River schools. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it, because I had done a reading for one of the women who was on the committee who does the after prom. And I said, yeah, I'd be glad to. So, okay, well, it's like midnight to 5. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not a night person, but I was like, all right, I'll do it. It's one night, right? Well, they were so pleased. They asked me to come back the following year. And I'm like, sure. Of course, I was so busy. Of course, high school kids is like 1,000 of them. And the line just never stopped. I mean, at 5 a.m., I had to shut it down. I'm like, I'm done. Okay, 5 a.m., I got to get out of here. I'm exhausted. And every year they kept calling me back. And by the third, fourth year, I'm like, I just can't. I'm like, I'm feeling this. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. And they're like, oh, are you coming back this year? And I was like, yeah, sure. Now, see, that's right away where I went with my expectations. If I say no, they're going to be upset. I was not honoring what I was feeling. And again, your feelings are valid. And I did not honor my feelings. And I gave into guilt because my expectation was they would be upset if I said, no, I can't do this anymore. It's too much for me. Because it would literally mess with me for the whole weekend. I would go in like Friday night into Saturday morning kind of thing, which was that whole midnight to 5. And of course I hadn't slept. So then I would sleep Saturday until sometimes 1, 2 in the afternoon, and then get up and try to go back to bed at, 10 o'clock that night. And then, so my whole weekend was just shut. And of course I didn't feel great afterwards. Your energy is just totally off. And that's me anyway, because I'm not a night person. But again, my expectations were they're going to be upset. Who are they going to get if I don't do it? What do I care? Okay. I care, but I don't care. When it comes to doing what's best for you, yes, you care, but at the same time, you can't care about every little thing. So it's like, what are they going to do if I don't do it? And then finally, I got to this point. I'm like, I know you can find somebody else. I think I'm done. It's getting to be a lot for me to do this. And, I'm going to decline. Thank you for having me all these years. But I've had enough. And they were fine with that. They really were. But my expectations were they're going to be mad. They're going to be upset. Oh my God. And again, learning that we need to do what's best for us. Why should I allow my health to be, knocked down and thrown around and feeling like crap just make somebody else happy? So, yeah, stop at the expectations. I mean, many times, being married, again, I'm one of those people, if I see something needs to be done, I just do it. I don't wait for somebody to tell me. And I would find that's sitting right there. Why didn't they take care of it? Like they're supposed to be a mind reader, right? And I would get angry because my expectation was that everybody knows what needs to be done. If they see something laying around, right? Wouldn't they just do what needs to be done? Again, talk about disappointment. Not everybody does things the same way. And that was the part I really had to learn to let go of. And, even till today, I have my little quirks. Like I like an empty sink. I like things done a certain way. And so, if my son comes out and he leaves something in the sink for a moment, I'm like, aren't you going to wash that? I'll be back to wash it. And I'm like, okay. And I have to learn okay, we share space. It can't all be my way. He's not a slob by any means. But it was no, it's okay if he leaves it there for a little while. I know he'll get to it. And if he doesn't, that's on him, not on me. But he always does, And actually, he never really leaves anything sitting around that long. So, it's just one of those things that, you just have to learn to get past. It's not always easy, but, you can do that with practice. So what are the expectations have I had? Oh, many. Over the years, living life, I'm going to be 59 in September. And I look back and all the times, going through schools, going through elementary, middle, high school, and, having expectations of how life was supposed to be. And, how, you get into liking boys or whatnot, and you're thinking oh, why doesn't this person like me, or why does this person ignore me, or why can't people understand me? Because it is what it is. Do you know that as a kid? Of course not. Now I do. I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. Some people are going to like you and some people are not. The ones who like you will connect with you. Why focus on the ones who don't? That's how I live now. That's how I've lived for a while. I'm always appreciative of the way the universe has sent me into this kind of path. Doing the work that I do, having this purpose that not only helps other people, but I have learned to help myself and see things differently and live life way differently than I did before. So that's important. But again, expectations, I have clients. I have one client who loves to sing. I won't mention her name, but loves to sing and was part of a choir and whatnot. And just got to this point where I'm tired. I don't want to do it anymore. So I told them, I said, don't do it. Yeah, but they're going to be upset. And I said, and they'll get over it. Right? Everything ends at some point. It does. And yes, maybe the people left behind are upset or sad. It's part of the grieving process. Grieving is not just about death. Grieving is about anything ending. So it's sad that they're not here anymore. But we'll get past it. We'll fill the spot, right? So I let this person know, I'm like, if it feels too overwhelming to maybe talk to everybody face to face. I said, why don't you just send an email to the group and say, this is how I'm feeling. So I have made a decision based on how I feel that I'm going to let this go and I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm feeling very overwhelmed, whatever else you want to add. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. And I said, good for you. Do that. Well, next time I saw this person, how'd it go? She goes, actually, you were right. And I says, why is that? She says, because I sent it out and what I got back was a response of, oh, we're so sad to see you go, but if you need anything, let us know. We're here for you. Not like, oh my God, what are we going to do now? Or, oh my God, how are we going to replace you? These are the expectations people feel. Like, I can't believe you're quitting, and that's totally opposite of what they actually got. So again, stop with the expectations. Do what you need to do for you. And just live your life. Again, I tell everybody, and you guys have heard me say this, I don't know how many times, you were here on this earth to live your life, not anybody else's. I'm not saying be greedy. I'm not saying be mean or unkind, not egotistical. But again, your life here begins with you. So is this good for me? Does this feel right to me? Is this where I should be? Or do I need to let something go? And if you let something go and the other people come back, say, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but this is what I feel I need to do for myself. Right? That's how it goes. So, and again, even if they are angry, again, their reaction is their issue. Because usually people who react like that are reacting because of their own shortcomings, their own lack of confidence, their own lack of control, whatever it may be. So, for example, the marriage I had with my children's father, for the sake of my children, I tried many different things to hold things together. I tried talking and discussions and so on and so forth, and even went to counseling. And one thing the counselor had mentioned was, when you two talk to each other here, I want you to talk in iMessage, as she calls it. And God bless her soul, because she's passed away since. She was a beautiful lady. Anyway, iMessage means I feel, and then you express how you feel. Instead of saying, well, you did this and you did that and throwing blame around, it's about feelings. And I even tell my clients that today. I said, I'm not a psychologist or a therapist or any of that stuff, but think about this. If you need to have a discussion with somebody you love over something that's not going right, you do the I feel. Because it's really what it is. It's about your feelings. So we would go to counseling and she'd say, okay, Christine, what's going on? And I says, well, I feel very upset that he says these things that are hurtful, and it makes me feel sad, and it makes me feel like there's no compassion there or understanding about how it makes me feel. And right away, he would chime in with, see how she victimizes me? She throws blame at me all the time. And I'd look and I'd be like, that's not what I was doing, nor was I that. It's not even what I was saying. I was saying how I felt when you did this. That's not blame. That's showing feelings. But this is who he was. So to show how people's reactions are based on their own shortcomings and such, and like I said a minute ago, he turned out, especially towards the end, because I was gaining a lot of independence and confidence and such, and he didn't like that because he couldn't control that. So his thing was the blame that he said I was inflicting on him. It's more along the lines of the other way around. Oh, well, you chose to go and open a business, so that made us broke, which wasn't the truth. You chose to spend more time over there than here with your family. Not true. Anything to, I did it. And that's what would happen at home, which was unfortunate.
But again, I really, knew at that point, I'm like, yeah, this is not good. So I let go of any expectations, because again, when you're in a situation like a marriage has fallen apart, and you have to figure out life, you're like, okay, what am I going to do? Now, of course, I've mentioned this before. I had a house, I have a building, I have a business, I have 3 children. They're all, middle school, going to high school, and college is right around the corner. How do you survive that, right? Financially. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at what is best for me and my children. And that's how I focus my whole separation, divorce, and moving on. Because I truly believe, and I've expressed this millions of times, is when you focus on self and your feelings and what you need, and you let go of the expectations, and you let go and allow life to unfold as it needs to, without the resistance of control, then you find that you become a happier person. My children were happier. Not that it was perfect by all means, but I always had what I needed for the household. I managed to hold on to my home. I managed to hold on to the building. I held on to the business. My kids got through school, high school, college. They're full-grown adults. I have sold my house since. I'm doing amazing. They're doing amazing. Because why? I let go of control. I let go of expectations. I may say, you know what, I would love to see this happen. Like, I have a wish, I have a goal. Like, just my vacation, I went to Aruba. That was on my bucket list. That was a place I wanted to go visit. And yes, you can have that, but don't have expectations that, oh, well, I'm going to acquire X amount of dollars, and I'm going to take time off at this point, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be this, and it's going to be that, and it's like, oh my God. Because I think when you have high expectations that high, I think if you got into Aruba and everything was not what your expectations were, you'd say that was the worst place to ever go. Truly. So let go. Allow. Honor your feelings. Do what's best for you. And stop feeling guilty. Stop feeling like, what are they going to do without me? Stop thinking any of that stuff. Because that doesn't matter right now. The only thing that matters is this moment right here, right now. Take it day at a time. Listen to the universe. Follow your signs, your messages, so on and so forth. And when you let go of all of that, this is what you get. New beginnings. So again, stop trying to force. Stop trying to control. Because again, I tell people all the time, I says, if you let go and allow, you'll find that things are going to go, and they're going to flow, and they're going to fall into place, and you're going to be amazed. And then if you're trying to control it, it's like walking into a wall, but you keep walking into it. Everybody, if you've seen the Bee movie, it's hysterical. Jerry Seinfeld is the bee. And there's a point in the movie where the bee gets stuck in the house, and he's trying to get out. And of course, glass window you can see through, and now he's a bee, so he's not supposed to put no glasses, right? So he's like, I can see outside, I'm going to go. And he hits the window, and he's like, this time. And it's like, it doesn't matter how many times you keep hitting the wall, you're not going anywhere, right? So learn to let go. Learn to let go and allow. Let go of the expectations. I trust and believe that Aruba's going to be great. I'm going to have a great time. Because I didn't know what to expect. I haven't been to Aruba before, right? You hear stories, but doesn't matter. I mean, people can say, oh my God, Mount Rushmore is amazing. And you go there and go, okay, but 4 guys' faces on a rock. I don't find that very appealing. It is what it is. Everybody has different feelings and thoughts on things. But again, don't allow yourself to control, okay? Spiritual abundance, when we let go and allow, right? And spiritual abundance is not just finances. It's happiness, it's joy, it's friendship, it's family, it's connectedness to a significant other. It is your food. It is your bills being paid. It is your home that you live in, that roof over your head, the car that takes you where you need to go, the job that offers you a paycheck, right? All those different things. So start listening to the inner voice. When Spirit talks, listen. Listen. So if you have this sudden like, oh, maybe I should go online and check that. I don't know why. Okay. And you go online and you check it. Oh my God, information that would lead me to where I want to be. That's interesting. Okay. And then you keep following the signs, following the clues. Why? Because that little voice comes in and says, oh, you should do that. Right? Then it's the leap of faith. Whatever you want to do, just do it. Take that leap of faith. If you are feeling so strong about something and you can feel it pulling at you through your heart center, like, I've got to do this. That's what this business was. This was something somebody told me I was going to do. And when I read up on what Reiki was and whatnot, it hit me like somebody smacked my heart with a sledgehammer. Like, I have got to do this. Who does it? Who teaches it? Where can I learn it? How much is it? I don't care. I need to do that now. And it just happened. So again, no expectations, right? I had no thought in my mind about what I'd be doing when my kids started school. I was a stay-at-home mom. And lo and behold, here I am. And 20 years later, I'm still going. Things shifted over the years. Of course they have. I've done more things, less things. I've let some things go. I've added new things. But the growth is always there. The learning is always there. And the purpose is there. So as long as that's all there, I keep going. When it's time to stop, I'll know. And again, will you all be upset? Maybe. But guess what? Even my life has to change. Because again, life is ever changing. Right? So, time to honor that inner power, right? That inner power, that trust, that confidence, that self-esteem, that personal power space, okay? Honor that. Go to the beat of your own drum. Stop following the masses, as they say. Do what you got to do. It's all about this. Loving yourself and accepting yourself and not giving in to those expectations that lead us down a road that we get very disappointed in. Because it's not where you want to be. So do what's best for you. Honor those feelings. Let go and allow. And just have the best life ever. If you find yourself hitting the wall, turn around and go in a different direction. If everything is easy and everything is falling into place, you're right where you're supposed to be. Remember that. If it's easy, you're doing the right thing. If it's hard, you need to turn around. Make adjustments, whatever it needs to be. But you'll get there. You'll get there. So again, have an amazing week, an amazing evening. Thank you for listening. Again, if you really enjoy the videos, like them, share them. If you know somebody who could benefit from listening, it's helpful to keep helping others, pay it forward. So yeah, thanks. All right, guys, have an amazing night. Again, see you next week.